Right, so Mark Gurman spills the beans regarding the next iPad Pro refresh, detailing what to expect and what kind of upgrades we could get, and I continue to be unexcited, and if you're wondering why, let's delve in. So in his new report, Mark Gurman mentions the upcoming 11-inch and 13-inch iPad Pros have the codename J717, J718, J720, and J721. And if you're wondering why the heck there's 4 codenames for 2 iPads, it's of course because each model comes in a Wi-Fi and cellular version. Gurman also says we can expect these iPads to launch around the end of March, alongside iPadOS 17.4, and while he doesn't specify this, I'm guessing we're going to see these launch at some sort of March event. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. Now I'm actually quite surprised by this because in previous videos, I was thinking the iPad Pro would launch at WWDC because we usually don't see a ton of big refreshes in March. Springtime's basically where they ease us in for the year and give us a bunch of spec refreshes, and we have plenty of those in the pipeline because there's the M2 MacBook Air and the M3 MacBook Air in the works. But I guess those are not big enough for an actual event, and so I guess that's why they're releasing this iPad Pro a little earlier. So what are the main upgrades? Well, we're getting OLED, we've had this on the iPhone for years, and it gives you more vibrant colors and inky blacks, and Gurman once again emphasizes this model is going to be the first redesign for the iPad Pro since 2018, but he doesn't specify what exactly is changing with the design, and even I'm wondering what's going to change because yes, they could make the bezels thinner like we've heard about. Apparently they're going to use the same LiPo technology from iPhone 15 Pro to shrink the bezels, but is that it? I don't think they could change the chassis much because it needs to retain the flat sides for pencil support, and also for compatibility with older Magic keyboards. I doubt they can change the camera module much, so this redesign is literally going to be the same iPads, but with ever so slightly thinner bezels. Wow, what a major change. But anyways, let's now move on to the accessories because Gurman once again mentions these should be refreshed alongside the new models, so let's talk about the changes. Beginning with the new Magic keyboards, this has the codename R418 and R428 for the 11-inch and 13-inch size respectively, and apparently this will make the iPad Pro look even more like a laptop compared to the current version, so they're basically turning this into a mini MacBook. The area around the keyboard is going to be made out of aluminium for a sturdier build. There's also going to be a larger trackpad, and interestingly the exterior shell is going to keep the silicone material we have today as well as the single USB-C ports. Now my thoughts on these changes are pretty mixed, I can't lie, because it doesn't seem like Apple's actually addressing our problems with the current keyboards. For me, the biggest issues are number 1, there's no function row, number 2, the silicone material sucks for long-term durability, and number 3, more USB-C ports would be nice. But instead of addressing that, they're just giving us super shiny aluminium on the inner part of the keyboards that no one asked for. And actually, if they really want to go with this aluminium silicon hybrid design, surely it makes more sense for the aluminium to be on the outside because silicon can scratch and scuff pretty easily, and you'd probably want a softer material on the inside anyways when typing and actually interacting with the iPads. And hey, if the goal is to make this a MacBook and implement aluminium, why not just go all out and give us something similar to the Bridge keyboards? That would ultimately be the best choice for long-term durability, so I'm a little confused with what Gurman tells us. What's worse is that I also think there's a small chance the outer material they choose for the new keyboards is fine woven, which as we found out with this year's iPhone cases, sucks durability-wise. Literally the air can somehow scratch it, but who cares about that when it's gonna save the planet? Yay! I don't get how Apple consistently does the opposite of what we want with the iPads. Really, the only thing I'm looking forward to is the larger trackpads, but apart from that, this keyboard seems pretty mid. And the bad news continues because apparently, with Apple adding aluminium to the inside for no reason, there could also be a price increase because of course, new product equals higher price. Now I'm sorry, but there is no way Apple's gonna get away with this. It's already outrageous they sell these keyboards for $300 and $350 respectively, so upping the price by even $50 would be mental. Everybody would be up in arms, especially if the rumors about the actual iPads themselves getting more expensive is also true. Gurman actually in this report does suggest for the first time these iPads are gonna be pricier, but he doesn't specify by how much the prices are going to increase, because he's Mr. Vague after all. Anyways, Mark Gurman also says there's a 3rd generation pencil in the works. Its codename is B532. He doesn't tell us any of the new features, and we haven't heard much apart from new magnetic tips. Though to be fair, there's very little they could do with the pencil because the current version has been around for 6 years, and yet it's still the go-to stylus for the iPads. And I know there's been some wacky patents. Apparently Apple has technology for a color picker where there's a tiny camera on the pencil that scans colors around you for your drawings. That sounds incredible, but also would be way too high-tech and would be unfeasible just yet. But hey, I would love to see Apple surprise us and actually give us something innovative. By the way, I do wonder, are existing accessories going to continue working with this new iPad? Because it sure would be annoying if we have to shell out another $500 on a new keyboard and pencil as well. Now, Gurman says that Apple's going big with this iPad Pro refresh in a bid to increase sales after multiple quarters of declining revenue for the category, but I have my doubts that this is going to rejuvenate sales for the iPad. Don't get me wrong guys, the OLED display will look gorgeous, but I don't think that's enough to justify buying this, especially when there's a price increase. At the end of the day, you really can't fault the hardware of the current M2 iPad Pro. The mini LED panel today is still fantastic, but it was the software that limited it and needed a major overhaul. And while this iPad's launching in March, so of course, out of the box, it's going to come with iPadOS 17, and as it stands right now, the software does not take advantage of the very powerful hardware. What do I mean by this? Well, to be frank guys, I just want to be able to boot macOS on this. At the end of the day, whilst iPadOS is perfect for things like content consumption, reading books, checking on socials, the usual tablet usage, it really sucks productivity-wise. There are great apps on the iPad for creative workflows, but weird limitations within iPadOS stops me from using this as a laptop replacement, and so I've really given up on that dream. But if Apple wanted to fix things, just giving us macOS here would be awesome. Take multitasking for example. Stage Manager feels so much more inferior to use compared to multitasking on macOS. I feel like this point perfectly illustrates my issue with the iPad. You can technically open multiple windows at once and switch between them on the iPad, but it feels a lot clunky and slower to use in macOS, and well, paying extra for OLED's not gonna fix those issues. Of course, I'm aware that Apple wants to keep the iPad and Mac separate, and so the chances of the iPad getting macOS are basically nil at this point, but at the very least we should see more macOS-like features on the iPads. Because of the software limitations right now, I could never justify spending upwards of $1,000 on a new iPad, and I'm sure many of you guys are also in the same boat, and my stance won't change even if it has a fancy OLED. At the end of the day, you're not going to see a massive difference between this M3 iPad and an older iPad in terms of regular usage, and that's a key problem. There needs to be more differentiation within the software to justify the high prices and give us an actual valid reason to buy these iPad Pros. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.